What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the NCAA tournament bracket, but if it was from the perspective of their college football team for next season. So the bracket is set already based on these teams, but who would win the national championship if it was played on the football field? Now, first off, a few glaring omissions. Penn State didn't make the tournament. They could make a run. Ohio State, Notre Dame, South Carolina, all teams that are probably in the preseason top 10 that might could go on a run. Now, the closer we get into football season, I might actually do a field of 68 college football playoff where I rank the top 68 teams. We have the auto bids from every conference and then make a bracket and then get after it. That's something we might actually look into. But let's go ahead and get started here, taking a look from the football perspective. Join me down in the comment section. Let me know your Final Four once we get there, because there ain't no telling what this is about to look like. Probably going to seem like it's a little SEC biased, but let's go ahead and start. All right, South region, Auburn's football team been kind of iffy. They should be better next year under Hugh Freeze, but they're not going to have any trouble with this 16 seed. Louisville, Creighton. Jeff Brom has done good at Louisville. Creighton's not giving them a game. Michigan, UC San Diego. Not even sure UC San Diego has a football team. A&M, they're not going to have trouble with Yale. All right, so we get our first matchup that actually could be interesting. I would figure North Carolina probably beats San Diego State, but North Carolina's not going to be able to play with Ole Miss. I mean, Lane Kiffin, despite losing Jackson Dart, they still should be able to play. I don't know if they're going to make a playoff, but they should still be a top 25 team regardless. Give me Ole Miss. Iowa State, they got a lot coming back. Rocco Becht, a ton of guys. I'm not sure Marquette has a football team, so we're going to go to New Mexico. Then Michigan State is going to be Brian, even though Michigan State's not very good. All right, so Auburn, Louisville. Actually, a pretty intriguing matchup here, football terms. I mean, Hugh Freeze, I think, eventually is going to get Auburn closer to the top 25 team. I mean, you look back a couple years ago, they almost beat Alabama. But Louisville, under Jeff Brom, is going to be a consistent, college football playoff contender every year, I think. At least top 15, top 20-ish team. So give me Louisville there. Michigan, Texas A&M. This is actually one that two teams that might could make the playoff this year. Michigan, if they can get their quarterback situation handled, whether it's Mikey Keene, whether it's Bryce Underwood, they're going to have a good defense. They're going to have a good run game. Texas A&M, Mike Elko is getting things turned around there. You can tell they're heading in the right direction. But Marcel Reed, I have a few question marks. I think Michigan wins that one. They're a little too stout defensively. Ole Miss and Iowa State. Iowa State returning a lot of players from this last season. Ole Miss, they lose some guys. So they're going to lose a first-round draft pick at quarterback probably. How is the replacement going to look? Lane Kiffin always win games, but doesn't quite get to the playoff. I think Iowa State has a lot back. They might even be my favorite in the Big 12. I think Iowa State shocks them here. Give me Iowa State. Michigan State, New Mexico. This is a stinker right here. Two teams that aren't very good. I guess I'll go Michigan State because they're the power conference, but New Mexico could actually beat them. Louisville, Michigan. So this one, man, Jeff Brom is a good head coach, but Michigan is stout across the board. I think Louisville might could give them a run for their money. It depends on how Michigan's quarterback situation looks. If they can get that handled, they might have made the playoff last year. Give me Michigan here, but this one is a toss-up. Iowa State, Michigan State. I think Iowa State runs Michigan State off the field. Rocco Becht comes back. They have a ton of guys back from this season as well. Sets up a Michigan-Iowa State matchup. And Iowa State, Michigan, probably both in my top 15 preseason-wise. Same with Louisville. Pretty stacked region. I'm going to probably go Michigan here. As long as their quarterback situation's handled, I think they're just too stacked across the board there for Iowa State. As long as Bryce Underwood hits. All right, moving over to the East region, Duke, they're going to beat whoever these teams are. Mississippi State, Baylor, you got an SEC Big 12 matchup. Baylor kind of trended up towards the end of last season. Mississippi State, they're going to have to get some time to get things turned around. So it's going to be Baylor there. Oregon, not going to have any trouble with Liberty, probably. Liberty, now that they don't have Caden Salter and Quinton Cooley, probably doesn't give Oregon a game, but they might somewhat be able to play with Oregon. Doubtful, because obviously they played a couple years ago and that didn't happen. But let's go Oregon there. Arizona, Akron. Arizona not going to have an issue there. BYU doesn't have an issue with VCU. Wisconsin shouldn't have an issue with Montana, but Montana actually is pretty good at the FCS level, but I'll go Wisconsin. We'll give Luke Fickell the benefit of the doubt. Okay, this is going to set up a pretty good matchup right here. Vanderbilt and Bama. We'll get to that here in a minute. Duke Baylor. Duke last year wasn't actually too bad with Malik Murphy and Manny Diaz, but I think Baylor gets the win here. Duke lost a lot last year. Malik Murphy transferred out to Oregon State. Kind of weird there. Oregon, Arizona. Don't think Oregon has any issues with Arizona despite um, losing their quarterback. Arizona, I thought would have been better last year with Noah Fafita, but the quarterback coming back, but losing the head coach just really didn't happen. Give me Oregon. BYU, Wisconsin. BYU last year almost made the college football playoff regardless. Wisconsin, I like Luke Fickell as a head coach, but things have not worked out at Wisconsin as much as I thought they would. Give me BYU there. Vanderbilt, Bama, both teams my top 25 next year, actually. You got Diego Pavi at Vanderbilt. Alabama, I think Kalen DeBoer will get things headed in the right direction, like as far as a rebound year. But if not, it's gonna start getting hot. His hot seat there. But give me Alabama there. Baylor, Oregon. I don't think Oregon has any issues with Baylor, despite Baylor kind of trending up a little bit. BYU, Bama. Now, this, if they played this year, I think this actually would be a closer game than a lot of people would think. I'm going to go with the shocker here. Give me BYU. I think BYU can upset Alabama. One game, the power of the Mormons. Give me BYU there. Oregon, BYU. Oregon loses a lot. Dan Lanning has shown time again that as of right now, he can't win the big one. And Oregon in general has an issue winning the big one. I think BYU dips them. Give me BYU there. Oregon losing Dylan Gabriel, I think, is going to have a huge impact this year. Dylan Gabriel could play. All right, let's move it down to the West here. Florida, no issues there. Oklahoma, UConn, despite Brent Venables having a lot of struggles at Oklahoma, I still think they can beat Jim Mora and UConn. So give me Oklahoma there. Memphis, Colorado State. Memphis is one of the better group of 5 teams. Give me Memphis. Maryland, Grand Canyon. Maryland gets the benefit of that out there being a Big Ten school. Missouri, same thing, being from the SEC. Tech, good transfer portal class coming in. Kansas, Arkansas, this is a pretty good one here. I think it's going to depend on the health of Jalen Daniels at quarterback. If he's healthy, I think Kansas wins this one. If not, I think Arkansas would win it. Let's go Kansas there. But again, if Daniels gets hurt, they're in trouble. St. John's, Omaha, I really don't know. I don't think either one of these teams play football. We'll go St. John's just because. But Florida, Oklahoma, you backtrack, 10, 15 years ago, this was a national championship game. Florida, way too much. DJ Lagway, I've got Florida in my preseason top 15. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. And Brent Venables, I think he is out after this year. It's just not working at Oklahoma. Memphis, Maryland. I actually think Memphis could dip Maryland. Maryland is so-so in the Big Ten, but nothing spectacular. I think Memphis could beat them. Depends on who they're replacing Seth Hennigan with, though. I'm not sure. Missouri, Texas Tech. Missouri loses quite a bit. A lot of first-round guys, left tackle, quarterback, receiver. Tech's got a loaded class coming in. Give me Tech there. Kansas beats St. John's, no doubt. Florida and Memphis. Florida way too much this year. I think Billy Napier might have them on track to be in the playoff this season or next season. We'll see. Texas Tech, Kansas. Daniels is powerful at Kansas, but Tech has such a good transfer portal class coming in. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So you got the transfer portal class versus the guys coming back at Florida. I think DJ Lagway is the best player on the field. Give me Florida. All right, moving over to the Midwest. Houston gets that one. Georgia, Gonzaga's a good basketball school, but not football. Clemson beats McNeese. Purdue beats High Point. Now, this one right here is actually a pretty juicy matchup. Texas would beat Xavier, and then you've got a Texas-Illinois matchup. Illinois, one loss away from making the playoff last year. Texas is a preseason top 5 team. Texas gets the win, but that would actually be a pretty good matchup I'd like to see. Kentucky, I don't think they have any issues with Troy. UCLA, Utah State. UCLA is kind of in the gutter right now in the Big Ten, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Give me UCLA and then Tennessee. All right, so Houston, Georgia. Georgia's going to roll Houston. Houston, though, did bring in to Connor Wyman, A&M's quarterback, so they might be a little better this year, but again, they're not going to be able to play with Georgia. Clemson, Purdue, that sets up a good matchup with Clemson getting the dub there. Clemson's way too much for Purdue. Texas beats Kentucky, no problem. Tennessee beats UCLA, no problem. So Georgia, Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, these are by far, I think, the best Elite 8 matchups we've had. Sweet 16. Win Sweet 16. Man, Georgia, Clemson, I really don't know which way to lean. Clemson has a lot coming back. And from what I saw with Georgia last year, I think they'll probably be okay, but their skill guys are not the usual skill guys Georgia has. They could not catch the ball whenever Gunnar Stockton was throwing them the ball. Give me Clemson there in the shocker. Texas, Tennessee, an SEC matchup. I think Texas is too much, too talented across the board. Clemson and Texas, a rematch of the college football playoff game this year. I think Texas gets the dub. Arch Manning leads them to the Final Four. So, Final Four matchups, we've got Michigan, Florida, BYU, Texas, two SEC teams, a Big Ten team, and then a Big 12 team. Florida, Michigan, I think Michigan probably has the better roster, but I think Florida has the better player in DJ Lagway. I think Florida sneaky run to the national championship year. Texas, way too much for BYU. I think Texas wins. And then you've got Texas, Florida, the national championship. Give me Texas. I think Texas beats Florida, wins the national championship. Arch Manning leads Steve Sarkisian to the Natty. But again, this is without Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, South Carolina, four teams that would have a lot to say about this. But what do you think? Who would your Final Four be if this was played on the college football field? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.